Hello Year 2, it's Miss Mole here with Thursday's maths lesson. So we're going to start off with a warm-up again today and we're still thinking about measures. So can you match each image to the best unit of measure? Now you might want to draw it and match it, or you might just want to think about your answers after I've finished and told you to pause the video. So thinking about the liquid in a glass, the height of a flower, the mass of a flower, which is how heavy it is, the mass of a bookcase, and the measures that you can match them with are kilograms, millilitres, grams, and centimetres. So have a think about your answers and pause the video here. Okay, let's have a look at the answers together. So the liquid in a glass, that is thinking about the capacity. And we measure capacity in litres or millilitres. The height of a flower, so if we're thinking about how tall something is or how long something is, then we're thinking about using a ruler or a tape measure or something like that, which would be in centimetres for a flower. But remember, if it was something much bigger, we might use metres. The mass of a flower, so thinking about weighing it on a set of scales, then that would be either kilograms or grams. So you have to think about which one would be greater, a kilogram or a gram, and then think about a flower and a bookcase. So I'm going to measure my mass of a flower using grams because it's quite light, and my bookcase would be much heavier, so it would be kilograms. Okay, next warm up this morning. Complete the sentences. The something is heavier, the something is lighter. So think about which of the two objects here, the pencil or the apple, which is heavier and which is lighter. So again, you can think about the answers or you could write it down on a piece of paper. So pause the video. Okay, so the something is heavier. The apple is heavier, and I know that because on my set of scales, the apple has gone down on my balance scales, and the pencil is lighter, and again I know that because it has been raised up into the air on the balance scales. The apple is the heavier one of the two. So well done if you correctly answered this morning's warm-up questions. So today we are learning to solve measures problems, and actually we are going to be looking at reading scales today. So I'm going to change that because there is a little bit of problem solving, but we are mainly reading measures on scales. Now, scales don't necessarily just mean weighing scales. It can be the markers up the side of a measuring container for capacity, and we'll have a look at that in a second. So if we have a look at this set of scales here, we've got our needle here pointing to the measurement, and we're in kilograms because I can see the kg on the dial. So having a look around the dial, how heavy is an object that I have placed on top, imagining that there's one up here. Okay, so well done if you spotted that we've got 7 kilograms here and 9 kilograms here, and 8 comes in between 7 and 9, so it's 8 kilograms. And it's really important that we put this unit of measure at the end to show that we are measuring in kilograms, because a kilogram and a gram are very, very different in how heavy they are. Okay, this time we're looking at capacity, at how much liquid is being contained inside these buckets. So how much water is in each bucket? So again, read the scale at the side to look at how much water is in there, and don't forget to write down your unit of measure at the end. Okay, so let's have a look at this one together. We've got 1 litre, 2 litres, 3 litres here. So you could write it as a word, or you could just write it as 3L, which stands for litres, a bit like how M stands for metres. So let's have a look at the second one. Oh, it's filled right to the top. It's quite a full bucket, this one, right up to the top marker, which is 5 litres. I'm just going to use the L this time. Okay, here we've got another set of scales. This time I can see that they are in grams because we've only got a G after the numbers. I can see that these darker markers around the edge are where we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 and 100. But halfway in between the 0 and the 10, I've got another marker, and halfway between 10 and 20 there's another one, and it kind of carries on like that all the way around the dial. And my question here, how heavy is the apple? If we look at our needle, it is pointing to this marker in between 50 and 40, so in between 40 and 50. It's about halfway. So what number is halfway between 40 and 50? Pause the video and have a think. Okay, so I know that half of 10 is 5. So I know that this one here would be 5 that's in between 10 and 0. So if that's 5, so we've got 5, 10, what would come here? Well done if you correctly said that it would be 15. Let's just line that up a little bit more accurately. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. Well done, 25. 30, 35. 40, 45. Well done if you correctly worked out the answer to be 45 grams. Now I haven't put the G on my numbers around the edge because I didn't want it to be too big and taking up too much of the space. This was just to show you my thinking. So the answer is 45 grams, and I will write that down with my unit of measure, the G for grams. So well done if you worked out the answer at home. Okay, this time we're back to capacity. How much water is in each container? Now I can see that this isn't particularly bright, so the marker is here. The water is coming up to this number, and then the water level is here on this particular container. So pause the video. Okay, so this one I can see it's going up in tens, and that it has actually come up to this tens number. So on my first container, there is 70 millilitres in that measuring jug or measuring beaker. And this one, again, it's in between 40 and 50. So I know that the markers in between would be my 5s numbers because it's halfway in between my 10s. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and it'd be 45 in between 40 and 50. So well done if you correctly worked out the answer there. Okay, one final question for us to look at before we go on to our Wilf. So complete the sentence. Sam's suitcase weighs kilograms. So I'm going to pause it there while you read the scale. So well done for correctly looking at the needle here, and it is 15 kilograms. I'm just going to change the colour so it stands out a little bit more here. So 15 kilograms. Sam's suitcase weighs 15 kilograms. Then the second part of our question. Sam puts extra items in his suitcase. The extra items weigh 3 kilograms. So he's already got 15 in there, and then he's adding some extra items that weigh 3 kilograms. How much does his suitcase weigh now? So pause the video and have a go at working out the answer. Okay, so well done if you wrote a number sentence to help you. So I've got 15. I'm going to add on another 3. So I could draw my 10s and my 1s to help me. I could draw my 15 using my sticks and stones, and then another 3. You may have already known the answer in your head, but just in case you needed some workings out. So I've got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So the answer is 18. 18 what? Well done if you said 18 kilograms. We need to remember those units, and luckily on this question it was already written there for us. But if you're not sure what the unit of measure is, it's usually on the dial or next to the numbers on the measuring beakers if you're doing capacity. So 18 kilograms for this one. So our WILF today. I can read measurements from a scale, so that's capacity, which is liquids, remember, and mass, which is where you're putting them on a weighing scale. And then I can solve some problems involving this. So if you're doing the 2 and 3 star sheets, the main and challenge sheets, it will look a little bit like this. Now I have chopped the side of the page off here so I could get it to fit. It won't be quite that skinny on yours. So you've got some scales to measure, you've got some measuring beakers where you need to read how much is in each one. Remember I said that the unit of measure is usually on the beaker to help you. I will be looking really closely at the work that gets sent in to check we've got things like grams, kilograms, millilitres after our measurements. And then we've got a little bit of a problem solving one at the end. And then if you are doing the 1 star sheet, the easier sheet, then you've got some very similar questions, but maybe with slightly different numbers on the dials or on the scales up the side. But again, take care to write down not just the number, but also the unit of measure, the millilitres, litres, things like that. Now, I hope you get on really, really well with your maths today, and you might even be lucky enough to be able to ask a grown-up at home if you could do some measuring. Maybe you could measure out the liquid to go into your squash if you're having a drink. Maybe you could even do some cooking or some baking. I know that a couple of children in my class in Vienna have been doing lots of baking because I've had photos sent in and they've been using their math skills to help them, so maybe you could use them again today. So good luck with your maths, and I will see you tomorrow.